Another week, another week in review. Take it away, comic book man.
Oh my God!
Come on, you want to take one last look at 2010? Sure you do.
Hey folks, Comic Book Man here. Welcome once again to my video outhouse. It's time for the last week in review for 2010. This is the week in review for December the 29th, Wednesday, December the 29th, 2010. As I always say, if you take this week in review and you take last week's ship shape, you put them together for the 29th of December and watch them, you'll have a real good feel for what happened this week. We're going to go over this week's shipping, what the highlights of it, what shipped this past week. We're also going to cover a very little bit of news. There wasn't a lot that happened because of the holiday over the last week, but a little bit at the end. So stick around for that. First up, though, the book of the week for this week, the big book of the week for this week, was
Betty White.
from the DC.
Oh.
That's coming from the DC universe. Was Batman Dark Knight #1. This was written and drawn by Mr. David Finch.
We waited a long time for that.
Who came over from Marvel pretty much just to do this book, although he's doing other stuff at DC too. Read this. This is written much better than I ever thought it would be. I'm not a big fan of writer-artists. I like writers who write and artists who draw, and artists who think they can write usually are. But this was pretty good. This is pretty good. He's got a real good feel for the character, and he puts him in a real pulpy noir type background setting. It's still Batman. He still is out there, fighting the good fight against crazy criminals and stuff. But as you read this thing, it's got a real hard-boiled noir feel to it, which I really liked and I found refreshing. I am looking forward to seeing whether or not Mr. Finch can get this book out on a regular basis. He is both the writer and the artist on this book. If I had to bet, I would bet after his first story arc, which runs about 6 issues, I believe it is, after this first story arc, you're going to have a new artist coming in and he'll continue writing the book. They haven't said that, obviously, yet, but he's such a slow artist, I would assume that that's what will happen with this. Also from DC Comics this week, we had Flash Rebirth. Oh, they finally got a new artist on Flash because what's-his-face, Manapul, who's also an actor, couldn't get this book out to save his life because of his many other commitments. Flash #8, this is basically a retelling of Professor Zoom, the Reverse Flash's origin. Who would care about that? Well, the Flashpoint storyline is coming up, and in the Flashpoint storyline, a lot of characters' origins are going to wind up getting tinkered with and rewritten because of him and other folks from the Speed Force, because they're time travelers too, as well as super speedsters. And this is actually a very good retelling of the origin. It shows how Thwain, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, Thwain, keeps going in the future, keeps going back into his own past and rewriting his own past to make it better, to make it better, to make it better, and he basically goes nuts.
Makes it worse. Right.
Well, you go back, you change your past to make it better, but you also change your past too, and he goes a little loopy because of that. But this is actually a very well-written book, and the art is by Scott Collins, who I'm not sure is the new artist on the book, but if the book gets out on time, the art is okay in this. It's not terrible. It's not great, but the art is good in this. It's okay. It's nothing. It's not like this, but it's very good. It's very good. And at least the book's getting out on time, hopefully. Last DC for this week is a honorable mention. This was supposed to have come out before the movie did.
Oops.
I don't know what took DC so long in getting this thing out. Shipped the last week of the year, I assume, because of contractual obligations. It's the end of the fiscal year, so they had to get this thing out. The one-shots for this did ship before the movie first came out. That was back in, what was it, October, November? Red came out?
Yeah, November, early November, I think.
This was supposed to come out with it, too. This is actually a prequel to the movie. If you see the movie, this story is a prequel to that movie. This is not Alice's canon from the miniseries. This is written for the movie in mind. But
Prior to the DVD release.
Prior to the DVD release. Brilliant. Anyway, that was DC for the week. Marvel, on the other hand, Marvel shipped books this week. And the big book for Marvel this week was What If number 200. This is the last in this year's cycle of What If books. This is What If the Siege turned out horribly differently. And it is a throwback to the late 80s, early 90s What Ifs, where you start off and the Marvel Universe is as you expect it, and by the time you get to the end of the book, everybody is dead in horrible and grisly ways. I hated that run on What If. I thought it was absolutely miserable. Every issue was nothing but, how can we kill these characters in new and interesting ways, week after month, after year, after year, after year, and when they finally mercy killed that book, it was fine by me. Anyway, this does the same play with the Siege. It involves the Sentry. He never died, and you may want to pick it up. Also this week, hey, the Illuminati returned to the New Avengers. That's right. This guy may have something terrible happening to him soon this month in Fantastic Four, but he's back right now in the Illuminati. And so they showed up in this month, and I haven't read the story, but I flipped through it, and it looks pretty interesting. The X-Men showed up in Chaos War, so there you go with that, the X-Men in Chaos War. And this is a handbook of the Marvel Universe. Most people didn't realize that. Hi, folks. This is a handbook of the Marvel Universe that shipped this week. So that was from Marvel. In Indies, we had Echo #1 from Image. Image Minotaur, which I didn't even know that imprint still existed anymore. They did a bunch of stuff back in the late 90s and early 2000s that didn't seem to go anyplace. But the Minotaur line did this. This got some nice write-up. I haven't read it. I'm not gonna tap dance my way through it, but I did read a review of it online, and they said it was pretty good. So if you like this type of stuff, pick it up. And of course, Hellboy, which is always wonderful, shipped this week. Another miniseries. It's the first time Scott Hampton and Mike Mignola have worked together on Hellboy. So if you like Hampton's work on Vertigo, you might want to pick it up. Finally, in the indie world, Blue Wave. Or Blue Water. What can you say about Blue Water? They keep publishing female force books, biographies, and political power books and biography stuff, and it's all just wonderful. Every one of them's wonderful. We had Betty White this week in 2 covers. You don't want to miss this if you're a Betty White fan. Really, you don't want to miss this. But if you're a little younger and Betty White's not your cup of tea, we had Lady Gaga. Okay.
Well, talk about opposite ends,
which also had 2 covers, and she's got something funny here stuck on her shirt. I don't know what those are, but
show me what is that?
I don't know what right there. I don't know what those are. It's
machine guns?
Something either that or billy clubs, or no, motorcycle handlebars.
Yeah.
I wonder why she would need those.
Like a bike.
I don't know why she would need those there, but there you go.
What kind of mileage she gets?
So that's this week's shipping. Now we're going to cover just a little bit of news that happened this week. And in news this week, the big thing coming up this coming week is in the month of January, which isn't really the week in review, but I have no comic news this week. But for the month of January, DC is going to be starting their $2.99 price point program with a bunch of iconic cover images, such as this. All the covers.
Lean that forward. There you go.
All the covers on DC Comics this month that are $2.99 are going to have an iconic image of the main character that's featured in that book, plus some symbolic thing and
So
the
it's going to
logo.
look like Neil Adams to it.
So you will know just by looking at it that's $2.99 and it's this character and I want it and I can't live without it. So
you.
look for that to start shipping this coming week, not this past week, but this coming week to a comic book store near you, such as Alternate Reality. No media news this week. I do have some wrestling news though. Wrestling news. WWE's Raw on Monday nights is going to 3 hours. No, they're not going to expand the program. Raw is still going to be 2 hours. But the almost defunct Tough Enough series is moving to Monday nights on just after Raw. They could change that. This is the game plan so far. To just after Raw, it'll be a separate program, but you can count on them attaching storylines into Tough Enough to make you care about watching it, but it's going to be a separate program. But altogether, you're going to have a 3-hour block on USA of WWE programming on Monday night. You're going to have Raw for 2 hours and Tough Enough for 1 hour. That's all coming sometime in April, just after WrestleMania this year. Also, Awesome Kong signed with the WWE from TNA. Look for her to start showing up there some point soon. They haven't set a date yet for that or what she's going to do. I would assume she's going to come in and kick butt in the Diva category and then maybe actually move on to heavyweight stuff. For those of you who are old folks like me and remember China, you know that females who wrestle on the men's side of the WWE can only go quite so far, and then they pretty much shot their wad, literally speaking, and they have nothing else to do. Women have a short life in the WWE because there's only so much you can do with them. Look for Awesome Kong to be showing up sometime soon, probably in the men's division and the women's division too. And finally, we want to end on a sad note. Hulk Hogan's mother died over the past weekend. New Year's Eve, December the 30th, she died at the age of 88. Terry Bollea said that his mom, Ruth Bollea, died at her home. I'm not sure what she died of, but I would assume at 88 it was probably natural causes. Our thoughts and sympathies go out to the Bollea family. We take some shots at Hulk Hogan on the newses every once in a while, but really our condolences go out to you, Hulk, and the whole Bollea family on the passing of the matriarch of the family. And that's it. We're done. We're finished. We're out of here. We've got no more weekend review. But you can go to the store's website, check out old ones, check out new ones, check out media news and wrestling news and comic news. And where's the store's website at? Sarah knows.
It stood the test of time, but failed basic English. www.myalternatereality.com.
So go to the store's website and check it all out. Until next time, this is Comic Book Man saying, Happy New Year!